Sugar, a young man with chiseled features and an effortless charm, stepped onto the campus of Federal College of Education, eager to start anew. His past still lingered, however, as he had been forced to abandon his studies at a polytechnic in Ibadan due to the ominous threats that had haunted him. Despite the turmoil he had faced, Sugar exuded an aura of gentleness and calmness, which drew people to him like a magnet. As he navigated his new academic environment, Sugar's natural leadership qualities and charisma began to shine through. He became increasingly popular among his peers, who admired his kind and composed demeanor. However, Sugar's tranquility was short-lived, as he soon found himself at the center of a maelstrom when he announced his candidacy for the student union government. The backlash was swift and brutal. Sugar faced harassment and intimidation from rival factions, who saw him as a threat to their power. On 3 separate occasions, he was physically assaulted, his gentle nature no match for the viciousness of his attackers. The ordeal took a heavy toll on Sugar, and despite his initial determination, he was eventually forced to withdraw from the elections, his spirit battered and bruised. The campus of Federal College of Education was a battleground, with notorious figures like George Scarface, Alpha, and Gideon reigning supreme. These infamous individuals had cemented their grip on power, striking fear into the hearts of students. Sugar, still seething from his brutal experience during the student union elections, became consumed by an insatiable desire for revenge and power. Determined to challenge the status quo, Sugar gathered his trusted friends to devise a plan. They converged in secret, their whispers filled with a sense of urgency and purpose. It was during this fateful meeting that they resolved to join forces with the Oodua People's Congress, a militant anti-cultism organization notorious for its ruthless tactics. The OPC, with its roots in Yoruba nationalism, had been waging a bloody war against cultists and criminals on campus. Sugar and his friends saw this as an opportunity to harness the OPC's firepower to further their own agenda. And so, they pledged their allegiance to the OPC, forging an alliance that would change the campus landscape forever. The founding members of this new faction within the OPC were a diverse and formidable group. There was Sugar, the charismatic leader driven by a thirst for revenge, Hans, a battle-hardened warrior, Afisu, a cunning strategist, Baba Imoli, a ruthless enforcer, and Wale from Yewa, a mysterious figure with ties to the underworld. Together, they formed a powerful nucleus, ready to take on the reigning champions of campus politics and establish a new order. Initially, Sugar's aggression was fueled by a desire for revenge against the cultists who had brutalized him during his campaign for the student union government. However, as he began to take action against these cultists, he unexpectedly gained the support of the local indigenes. They, too, had grown weary of the cult activities that had plagued their neighborhood, and they saw Sugar as a champion of justice. During this time, George Scarface became a name synonymous with terror. His notoriety was such that people trembled at the mere mention of his name. His reputation was built on a foundation of fear, and those who crossed his path did so at their own peril. However, Sugar's fortunes took a turn for the worse when a violent clash erupted between students and indigenes during a masquerade festival. In a moment of rash judgment, Sugar led the charge against the indigenes, perceiving them as his enemies. This decision would prove to be his first terrible mistake. Although Sugar emerged victorious from the conflict, he suffered a devastating loss, the support of the indigenes. The very people who had once seen him as a hero now viewed him as a ruthless aggressor. Sugar's actions had alienated him from the community, leaving him isolated and vulnerable. The consequences of his mistake would haunt him for a long time to come. It seems like Sugar's life took a dramatic turn as he rose to prominence. After gaining popularity, he caught the attention of the governor of Ogun State and was appointed as a supervisory councillor in Odida local government. He later became a special advisor at the state level in Ogun. However, Sugar's involvement in politics was marred by controversy. He allegedly killed several individuals, including Bucky Boy and AY, which sparked widespread outrage. Students, indigenes, and cultists alike were fed up with his atrocities and eventually turned against him. Sugar was physically assaulted but managed to escape. He fled to Ibadan for a year before returning, only to continue his reign of terror. Despite his notorious reputation, Sugar managed to carve out a successful political career. He won a seat in the State Assembly in 2011 and later represented Lajoloa in the House of Representatives in 2015. However, his latest troubles began when he lost the APC senatorial primary, prompting him to defect to the ADP to further his ambitions. Sugar's life of power and controversy ultimately came to a tragic end. He was gunned down in a hail of bullets, the victim of what appeared to be a carefully orchestrated political assassination. The news of his demise sent shockwaves through the community, as many struggled to comprehend how someone as formidable and revered as Sugar could be taken down so suddenly and brutally. As the reality of his death sank in, the streets were filled with a mix of emotions, sadness, anger, and even fear. Sugar's larger-than-life persona had inspired both devotion and dread, and his passing left a power vacuum that would be difficult to fill. The circumstances surrounding Sugar's death would forever be shrouded in mystery, but one thing was certain: the man who had once wielded so much power and influence was now nothing more than a memory, a reminder of the fleeting nature of power and the devastating consequences of a life of violence.